this place to populate a little bit, and we are also waiting. I am a couple minutes early, so we're just gonna give this space a little bit of time to fill up with people. Can you guys hear me okay? There's only 2 of you here, so fix the volume on my phone. Yeah, so just waiting a minute or so for Crystal to get here. We have some questions from the website for her. And again, we're about a minute early, so we'll give them some time to see if I can share this. There we go. So last night we did one, and Crystal's son was sick. So she didn't come in, and Miss Red and I just gave kind of a recap of what's been going on for the past few weeks with things like Harmony's flyers being, well, actually it was weird. Her flyers, just the pictures were being cut out. And that's also happening again now. Just a week ago, we hung up, I don't know, maybe 100 flyers around the city of Manchester. And yesterday, I was in downtown Manchester, and some of them were already torn down, which we got to find out who's doing it and why. And we're still waiting for Crystal to come in. I have one clock that says it's only 9:58 and another clock that says it's 10. So who knows what her clock says. What else did we cover last night? We covered a little bit about the 2 new motions for suppression that have been filed. Those were filed August 2nd, and they're concerning a field interview that was done with Adam on December 31st, and another interrogation. This was a custodial interview that was done January 4th. And apparently the defense would like anything that Adam said after he said, "I don't want to talk to you anymore," suppressed. They don't want it used at trial. It does sound like they are going to trial. The trial is set to start in November of this year. Jury selection is the first week of November. And of course, I will be there for the trial. And I'm pretty sure the local media will carry it. And we're trying to figure out how we can carry it on Harmony's website so that anybody who wants to see it can. And we are still waiting for Crystal. I'm going to give her a quick text and see where she is. We have started. Okay, she said she's on her way in. It's gonna take her a few minutes. She's still trying to put her baby down to sleep. So I guess I could tell you more about those suppression motions. but they're pretty cut and dry. It's the defense attorney just asking for statements to not be used or admissible at trial. So whether she's successful or not, that depends on this judge. So far, this judge has been pretty unbiased, with the exception of Kayla's situation, where Kayla was actually held for like 5 months on what's basically a white-collar crime. And while she was being held at 5 months, and I'm not pro Kayla in any way, shape, or form, but it was wrong on a lot of levels for her to be in there for a non-violent crime while violent criminals were being released to commit violent crimes. And that was actually happening. But she's out now. And she has not yet been indicted for the perjury charge. I believe the grand jury is meeting this month. And next month and the month after. So if she is going to be indicted, she has to be indicted soon. What else is going on while we wait for Crystal? So we don't have any information from the Union Street search. According to Crystal, from our conversation 2 weeks ago, the stuff from the Union Street search has been sent to 2 different labs. So they are apparently waiting for that stuff to come back. I do intend to ask her about that tonight. And like I said, I have like 20 questions that were submitted through the website to ask her. She's under no obligation to answer those questions. I'm going to make that clear to her that, you know, if there's a question she's not comfortable answering, she doesn't have to. But there's some pretty good questions here. They're not attacking her or anything like that. And I appreciate the people that are being level-headed about their questions, because there's a lot of people that don't seem to have their act right dress on when they go on some of these social media platforms to talk about the case. And really, we're just going to wait for Crystal. We're going to talk about what her visits were like when she did visit Harmony at the Guilford Street home, which, by the way, I was at that home today. And we've had some interesting conversations with mediums because we've remained open-minded. And there's a couple of mediums that have talked about things that happened in that house that we discounted because it didn't sound right. There's no garage there. And they kept saying it was something that happened by a garage door, by a door in the kitchen that would lead out to the garage. And today, when I was actually in the home, I realized there is a door, and it does look like it leads out to a garage. It actually leads out to an enclosed porch, but it looks like it leads out to a garage. So that's obviously accurate information. And these are mediums that say they don't communicate with each other. I don't know if like they have, you know, a super secret Facebook group where they share information or anything like that. But they've been pretty consistent about some of the things that they've said that happened in that house that, you know, I don't know how we could verify them, but, you know, when you get it from 2 or 3 different mediums, you kind of tend to believe it. Although today was the first time that I saw the house and realized that, yes, there is a door right there next to the refrigerator. And it does, you know, if you had never been in the house before and you were getting an impression of the house, it does look like it leads to a garage. I see Miss Red is in the house, and we're waiting for Crystal. She's putting her son down. He's still sick, but she's trying to get him to wind down and go to bed before she comes in. but she is coming in. And I was just talking about some of the things that the mediums have been correct on, which includes that door that Miss Red and I talked about today. And other than that, it's mostly the questions that people have submitted through the website. Some of them want to know, did Harmony share a room with anybody in the house? I don't know if Crystal would have that information, but I would be curious to know too, because I do remember a Kevin Montgomery interview where he indicated that he might have shared the room with her. It kind of sounded like he shared the room with her. And how many foster care homes was Harmony in? Where were the visitations? Were they at the foster home? Were they at a visitation center? That kind of stuff. Some of these questions are pretty good. And again, she's under no obligation to answer them. If she doesn't want to answer them, she doesn't have to. There's one discrepancy that the affidavit says, and WMUR, which is our local media, they also say that Crystal lost Harmony in July of 2018. The OCA report and Crystal confirmed 2 weeks ago that she lost Harmony in January of 2018. So we want to find out what that discrepancy is all about. And I see you requested, Miss Red. I'm going to do this. Okay. So we're going to try and find out what that discrepancy is all about, the July thing. And there she is. Miss Red, Crystal is here. And co-host. I sent the invitation. All you have to do is accept it, Crystal, and turn on your mic. Hopefully she got it. Maybe I'll send it again. No. So all you have to do, Crystal, is accept that invitation. Oh, where'd she go? Well, she was just here. There she is. Okay, just turn on your mic now. Down in the corner. Crystal.
Okay, sorry. So sorry.
You know what? I think the more times we do this, the better we're going to get.
Right.
I
was like, oh my gosh, I've been using the computer and the internet since I was, early 2000s. And I'm like, damn, I still feel like I'm in the Stone Age.
Oh, welcome to the club. I do too. How is little man tonight? Is he feeling better?
A lot better than yesterday. He had a 102.3 fever. I had to dismiss him from school. I don't have a vehicle right this second. So the daycare is about 10 minutes away walking. So I had to go dismiss him with my carriage, and he was okay. He was okay. He was resting until I started to see him struggle when we were turning the corner where the stop sign was for my street. He was coughing, and there was no like, he wasn't stopping in between. He was just coughing and coughing and coughing, and he was gagging and he was coughing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I thought, oh gosh, it's the heat. So I start running like a track star to my house. I'm like, oh my God. And I start running, right? So the staff at my building sees me running, so that, obviously they open the door for me. They're like, oh gosh, so I run inside, and I give it about 12 to 15 minutes, and I see no improvement, none. He's coughing, his face is all red, he's burning up,
My goodness.
he's gagging, and then he starts to vomit this like bubbly, clear / white foam, and I'm like, oh gosh, that's fluid, you know. So I got scared and I called the ambulance right away, you know. And he doesn't have COVID or anything like that. They just said it was a respiratory virus, but still, you know, I knew he was going to be sick because of daycare, but it was like, you know, out of nowhere. I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's, you know,
incredibly scary.
Oh yeah, you know, I was paying, you know, really close attention. I had he had woken up that morning like very, very early, 6 a.m. Like it was like 5:50 a.m. And when I tell you that this boy he sleep like his mama. And Harmony, that girl too, she could sleep. So
Well, you got lucky with that.
Oh, it's when you have 2 out of 3 kids that can get a good sleep on, it's a blessing, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, Jameson, he wasn't a terrible sleeper, but he was like an early riser, morning person. Me and Harmony are over here bumpy as shit.
Right.
Good morning. We're like, yeah. So I just got nervous. He woke up. He was not himself. So 6 a.m. So I'm like, it wasn't anything to be super concerned about. So I'm like, he didn't have a temperature, nothing. And so I sent him, you know, and then I go to an appointment in the morning right after I sent him, and I'm home about 11 o'clock, and they call me, and they're like, hey, he's 101.3 fever. By the time I got home, it was 102.3, and that was, you know, besides the immense coughing, that was when I called the ambulance. I said, you know, I'm not taking any chances. I have asthma, and I'm not 100% sure that he doesn't have asthma. So I wasn't taking the chances that he had COVID or an asthma attack or whatever it was. It really scared me. He has a little bit in his cheeks, but it's never been beet red like it was. And yeah, I was scared. So
it was very scary. So 2 weeks ago we talked.
Yep.
And after we talked, I asked anybody on the website if they had any questions that they would like me to ask you.
Okay.
Before we start with this, I want you to know if there's any question you don't want to answer, you don't have to. Just say, no, I'll pass. I don't want to answer that.
Okay.
That's fine, too.
I did something. Hold on. Sorry.
We did weed out questions of the we don't know how to act right people. So we won't have any of those questions. But I have a question. What kind of impact does addiction and recovery have on your memory?
Okay, so to be honest, and you know, obviously people have seen from what I've said on the news and you know, this whole time that I'm in my recovery. I'm brutally honest, you know. So, I overdosed 8 times in my active use. So there are certain things that I don't remember, you know, and I was very, very honest with Manchester PD, you know, with the AG's office, all of them, DA, all of them. I said, listen, there's some memory loss, you know, and it wasn't memory loss of like major details. It was memory loss of like those smaller details that become important, and especially in a case like my daughter's.
Absolutely, and that's what I was going to ask you about. So, like, your spatial memory. If there are things, are there times that things like dates and times run together and they don't make sense?
Yeah.
So you have to put them down. Okay.
So I've been, you know, like they've said in interviews, like I've literally done my own investigations because I'm like, I know this happened, but I need to find out when,
Right.
for my own self and not just Harmony,
Got it. So that leads me to my next question, and this is also my question. In the affidavit to arrest Adam, they say that Harmony was last taken from you in July of 2018. And in the OCA report, and you and I went over it 2 weeks ago, it's clearly January 2018. Was that just a mistake that you made in dates when you were speaking to the police, or is that information the police got from somebody else? Oh, she's muted.
I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second.
That's okay. I still have this terrible cough. So I had COVID December 23rd. I got diagnosed with COVID. And I did the 2-week period, all of that, but my lungs never properly healed. And, a couple months ago, or actually more than a couple months ago, it's been about 5 months ago, the doctor told me that I have what they call long COVID. So some of the lung damage is going to be permanent. And it's left me with this cough. Like, it used to be a lot worse. It's getting better now. But this cough, it sometimes is just freaking horrible. Can't even talk kind of cough. So we're going to wait for her to come back, and I am going to ask her about that conflicting information from between the affidavit and the OCA report, and where that conflicting information came from. And if it came from Crystal, you guys have to remember, even I did this last night when me and Miss Red were talking. I kept saying that, Adam was arrested June 4th, and he was arrested January 4th. But, I misspoke. I wasn't intentionally, trying to mislead anybody. I just missed.
Sorry. So sorry.
That's okay. That's we know.
My son's not trying to go to sleep right now, so I'm trying to get him to go to bed. His dad's helping, but he want mama, so I try to sing him a little tune and
yeah. When they're sick, they want their mommies.
Yes.
What I was asking you about was ago went through the timeline, and in the timeline, the OCA report says that it was January 2018 was the last time Harmony was taken from you. However, the affidavit where Adam was arrested still says, and so does WMUR, by the way, still says it was July 2018. Where do you think that discrepancy comes from? Did you misspeak when you were talking to the police, or how do you think that keeps transpiring?
Okay, so Adam did receive her in I believe it was February 2009. Yeah, 2018. Wait. Hold on, sorry.
It's okay. So
I'm trying to get everything right. I don't want to say anything.
But you don't want to misspeak. So that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
When the police originally interviewed you, were you thinking that it was July 2018 is when you lost Harmony and not January 2018?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I lost Harmony in the summertime, and she ended up going back to Michelle for quite a few months, and then Michelle ended up having Jameson for, I believe, a week and a half, and then I don't know, they removed him and he went to a different home, and
right.
And then, a few months later, he ended up in pre-adoption in Virginia.
Right, the little underers.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. And that also brings me to one of the people that are a subscriber at harmonymontgomery.com. They asked how many foster care homes was Harmony in?
She was only in one. She had to go to I believe 2 times because Michelle went on, to a different state, and I don't know if for some reason those 2 times DCF wouldn't allow her to take her, so she had, so DCF had her placed with, they call a respite home,
Right.
which I was also in as a kid.
Okay. So when you visited Harmony while she was in, and this is also a viewer question. When you visited Harmony while she was in foster care, where were the visitations? Were they at a visitation center? Were they at the foster home?
No, well, when Michelle had custody, they were at, most of the time they're at one of the DCF offices, whether it was Haverhill or Boston, yeah, those are the only 2 places that I had visits with her and Jameson was, Haverhill and Boston.
Okay. So never at the foster mom's home.
No.
Okay. And never at your home.
No.
Okay.
The only other visits that I had out of the DCF offices was at Guilford Street, which, obviously at the time I didn't even know the address because he wouldn't allow me to know it.
Right. Do you know where Helen and Adam and Kevin, they all talk about they were able to visit Harmony. Did they also have to go to visitation centers?
They all had to go all the way to the Haverhill DCF office.
Okay. So they had to go to the visitation centers as well. Well,
yes.
Office as well. When you would visit Harmony at Guilford Street, how long would Adam let you visit Harmony?
Hour and a half tops.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, when you visited in March and April, was Kevin and Helen there?
The very first visit, I believe it was the either. Okay, refreshing my memory. It was the end of the first week in March that I had my first visit. Like I was begging him for, from February till when he finally answered me. I had probably sent him a billion messages on Facebook because obviously I didn't have a phone number,
Right.
So I was messaging him the only way I knew how, and they were seen and they were pushed off, and I feel like he was trying to figure out what this retarded bitch, what they were gonna do, and then all of a sudden it was the green light and I could see her. But yeah, it was the end of the first week in March.
So when the court handed down the custody order for Adam to go ahead and take Harmony to New Hampshire, they didn't do a child support order and a visitation order. They just said, here's Harmony, go away.
Yes, they did absolutely nothing. Mind you, I kept asking. I asked Michelle. I asked Nan. I asked, I didn't get an answer from Nan or Kevin for months. They didn't reach out to me until they abandoned her and knew what they had seen before they left her there. They knew the monster he was, and they didn't tell me. They were in Florida. I would say 6 months already.
Yeah, so we did get some questions about when Kevin and Helen left. I'm trying to go through my notes. The picture that I used for the 6th night.
Yeah.
Can you tell me where that picture and when that picture was taken?
Hold on. I'm trying to pull the picture up. Oh, okay. Where it says space is 10 question mark?
Yeah, the one.
Okay, let me think. That was one of the final visits that I had with her. I believe, yes, that was at Guilford Street. I believe, and I can never forget the 2 shirts that I have. The 2 shirts that I had, that I seen with her in those 2 pictures. And I showed them to Michelle. Michelle told me, she's 5. Those are 3T, 4T shirts.
Right.
And I noticed myself, and I said something at the visit. It's like, why is she still wearing clothes that were sent here? It's been a year and some change. Why, you know what I mean? I remember her being in a t-shirt that the top of the sleeve was like near her neck, and I'm like, and I said, I looked right at Kayla, and I said, because Adam had dipped out to the bathroom. He was literally sitting there the whole visit, just playing video games. His sons are trying to get his attention. He's just like, get out of here, I'm busy, da da da. And I witnessed for myself, and I'm like, nah, this isn't right, man. This isn't right. If that's what he's saying to his own son, imagine what he's saying to Harmony.
Right.
So
Harmony was actually only with him, that from February to November. If we follow the path that the AG has released as to when she disappeared.
Yeah.
So he only had her for like that 9 months. And during that 9 months, you were only allowed to see her a few times. And that would make that picture of you and her like probably the last picture of her, correct?
Yes. The actual last picture.
Okay.
Picture with, I don't believe it was that one. I believe it was the picture where you could tell she didn't have her two front teeth anymore.
That one. Yeah, you know what? I'm curious. Why did the police decide not to use that picture if that was the last picture of Harmony?
Because when I have no idea. Everything that they didn't do was based off accountability. Okay. Because if they had used that photo, right? That photo, you know what I mean? That was the last photo I took with her. If they used that photo, it would prove the negligence on DCYF in New Hampshire and Manchester PD. Yeah. Because you've seen that photo. You've seen this little girl. You never one time pulled her aside and said, you are safe with us? Is somebody hurting you? My daughter, I mean, people didn't believe she was 2 and could talk the way she talked. They were like, is she 4? I'm like, no, she's 2. And they're like, she talks that good? Yes.
Yeah, they do mention in the OCA report that she had very advanced verbal skills.
Yes. So if somebody pulled her away from Adam and Kayla and the kids and said, hey, we're here to protect you. Tell us, if somebody hurting you, daddy, you know what I mean? It would have been word vomit. Right. It would have been word vomit, but they never did that. Her lawyer never asked her what she wanted. Like everything leading up to him getting custody of her, they fumbled the football. Like every time it was passed, it was fumbled. I don't get it.
Yeah, and we have questions about that too. Mm-hmm. So from January 2018, when you lose Harmony, to February 2019, did you get to visit Harmony while she was in foster care during those times?
If I remember correctly, Jameson and Harmony had, it was in the process of, them adopting Jameson out from under my nose. You know what I mean? Right. I wasn't even aware that he was being adopted because my DCF worker at the time was lying straight to my face. So I had three, if not 4, final visits with Harmony and Jameson together.
Okay.
And then my DCF worker tells me, "Oh yeah, we're you doing good." I had a job, I was only clean about 45 days, you know what I mean? But I had a job and I was going to this outpatient group, and she said, we could work towards reunification. And she comes to my house and she tells me to get a room ready, and she comes to my house and sits down on my couch and says, yeah, I know I told you it was reunification, but Jameson's in Virginia pre-adoption.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
you know,
were you-
the same few weeks where they were like, listen, Adam popped up out of nowhere and is trying to get custody of Harmony.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Did
Yeah.
you talk to Adam at all between January and when he got Harmony?
Nope. He never reached out to me and said, hey, I'm cleaned up. I really want to have custody. I really want this, and that. This man popped up at custody court out of nowhere.
Right.
Out of the blue, literally.
Right.
The one time I never missed a court date, a holiday, a foster care review, a visit. He freaking just happens to show up to the one court date that ruins my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how? Oh Lord, how?
Yeah. So you have a sober date coming up. First of all, congratulations.
So proud.
I know you have everything to be proud of. So your sober date is
August 24th.
Yeah, and that means that August of 2019 is when you last used, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. Good for you. I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure I congratulated you on that.
Thank you.
So the next reader question is, when you visited Harmony at Guilford Street, were there changes in Harmony's behavior?
Oh yeah. She went from, normal Harmony, very happy, loving, all that, to very jumpy, a shell of her normal self. She had big eyes, but she, whenever I went, she was very wide-eyed, almost like she was always watching her back.
Does she seem scared to you?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. At first, I didn't notice it. At first she kind of seemed like she was hopeful. The very first visit, she seemed like she was hopeful, and she was getting to know Daddy, and things were okay. Because it was only about February he got her. It was a while, but it was enough for her to kind of supposedly get to know him, and so she seemed hopeful, and then because my visits weren't consistent, he never let them, and then that's how I knew, like, this man wasn't working, he wasn't sober like he said he was, because the visits were sporadic. They were sporadic.
So that was another question from a subscriber. When you would go visit Harmony at the Guilford Street home,
mm-hmm.
Did it seem like they were using?
I see right through them. So, it seemed like to me that Adam might have been smoking pot, because when I did the first 2 visits I did, he was sitting there facing the video game,
Right.
And then the thing that was a red flag to me was that Kayla was zipping around the house, like she was cleaning the house for the first time in 7 months. You know what I mean? Because I was there. And but also she'd be cleaning, but also she would just come to the doorway of where we were, trying to like watch us. It was so weird. Yeah.
So the house, obviously, when you were there for those visits, because Helen and Kevin were still there. Was Kevin still there, or just Helen?
Kevin was there. Helen was supposedly visiting one of her sons. Give me 1 second, Regina.
Sure, no problem.
I just have to use the bathroom. Sorry.
No problem. So anybody that wants to know how to submit questions in case Crystal agrees to a third one, if you email info@harmonymontgomery.com and submit your question. Of course, we field through them because they're, like I said earlier, there are some people that don't have much act right when it comes to asking questions on sensitive issues. We're going to try and get to the questions. I have 15 here. Of course, I condensed some because some were, either exactly the same or similar. So I condensed them to, to keep this from being like a 3-hour interview. And we don't have a lot more. Actually, we do have 2 more pages to go through. Some of them are my questions about Helen and when they found out the house was in the condition it was in.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much I could say.
I know
about Helen
and we're gonna get to that because in 2 weeks ago we mentioned how Helen kind of abandoned Harmony. It was part of the court plan that when Adam's lawyer was discussing this, that he had this perfect suburban life and lived with his elderly grandmother, and they were going to have help and all this. So when did you find out Kevin and Helen left Guilford Street?
6 months after my last visit.
So, but they left in May, right? Didn't they leave?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So
and she, right? I don't know if she. Yeah, they left, and she went missing a few months shortly after. And she was missing by the time they reached out to me and told me about the abuse they had and all of that.
So when Kevin called you in July and said, Harmony's being abused and on and on and on,
yep.
he didn't tell you that he wasn't living at Guilford Street anymore.
It ended up slipping up, because I was frantic at this point. I'm like, well, where were you? Where was Nan? What, where are you? Like, what, where are they? You know what I mean? Like, it didn't make sense to me.
Right.
And they're like, oh, we had to get out of there. I'm like, oh, you had to get out of there, but you leave a defenseless child you claim to love. I said, why are you calling me now?
Right.
Excuse me yelling, but like, what? This is what I said to them. Why are you calling me now? What am I supposed to do?
Did Kevin reveal to you in that July phone call that they were feuding?
Oh, yeah. And he let me know that he was very afraid to let Adam know that he had been making those reports.
So what were they fighting about? Did he tell you that?
They were fighting about the fact that Adam was high selling freaking, some really important items, that Nan had from her husband and her mother, and family heirlooms.
So they left the house. They left property in the house, and that was the feud between Kevin and Adam. Was that Adam was selling that property?
Yes, and the fact that Kevin's baby mother left him because of the chaos that was going on in Guilford Street and took their son. And Kevin was beside himself. You know what I mean? He worked really hard to get his girl, and he was, they were engaged, and they still talk to each other and they keep it kosher. But like, Adam ruined what Kevin had with his child's mother.
Yeah. So they did, because I had a brief conversation with Christina on Facebook. And she did disclose that she had left before Adam came or moved in. So, but there are police reports from 2018 that are kind of disturbing about what was going on. So, when did you find out the house was in foreclosure?
When Kevin had called me, he said, we left. When we left, it was in bankruptcy, blah, blah, blah. The house was foreclosed on. He told me, he had right then and there told me about the generator. And I'm like, wait, the generator when? Did he have the generator only running in the wintertime, and my daughter's in there freezing. And then the most disturbing part of the entire Kevin and Nan leaving and then coming back for their things, and the cops were involved and all that. The most terrifying thing for me, oh my God, I have the hiccups. Are you kidding me? You're kidding me. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to try to get through this. Or hold my breath.
Hold your breath. So this one's a big question. August, September, and October 2019, we know Kevin and Helen were at the house at different times. Did either of them ever talk to you after being at that house during those times?
No, it was always months later, which I didn't understand. Like, if they were that worried, why did you wait so long to tell them her mother?
Right.
Because they knew
Right.
Like, I don't get it.
And this question is mine, and I actually gave it a lot of thought after, because I was putting the reports together to find out, I was finding discrepancies. Anyways, January 2020, DCYF says they called you. How did they get your number?
They never called me. I never got a voicemail, a phone call, nothing. They must have called the only number they had when I first started, reporting what Kevin had told me. And I did call and say, hey, listen, there's family members that moved out of that place that are telling me he was beating on her then, and he most likely is beating on her now. He was in a meth psychosis. Like the reports went on for days,
Yeah. So that was part of my problem, my issue with that January 2020 we called. Yeah. If they got the number from Adam, how did they know it was the right phone number? And if they called you, if they had your phone number, how would they have your phone number if not for reports that you had made?
I had a conversation with Demetrius twice. The first time was to report what Kevin had told me, Nan, blah, 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 Right. Then the second time was when I said, I was telling Demetrius, listen, my daughter had a black eye. I don't know, he's telling you about me, every single thing I could think of to tell this man. And then he tells me that he's like, I don't know why this man told me this, but he said that he's known Adam for a very long time, that he was his YDC counselor when he was 15. Right. So I start going off. Well, you shouldn't even be on the case. You're a conflict of interest, da, 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 da. So I tell him, this is what I've been told, this is what's happening, blah, blah, blah. He says to me, I don't believe any of that is happening. He said, I believe you and his uncle have something going on, and you're a bitter baby mother, and you're trying to get something on him. And he didn't, and this man didn't just say it to me. He said the same thing to Michelle, told Michelle she was a bitter foster mother that couldn't get custody of Harmony. Like, this man was tapped, not trying to help Harmony at all.
You've maintained a relationship with Michelle all these years.
Yes.
You and Michelle are quite close.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another one of the questions that people had. If you were so terrible, how could Michelle still
remain in contact with you?
Right. Mm-hmm. So I have another question from...
She's hosting Si's second birthday on the 27th.
Really?
Yes. Her and her husband. Yep.
Very nice. So I hope you gave her a bracelet.
Oh, yes. And Regina, you're invited to that, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's on a Saturday.
That means I can come. So
Great.
this question is from a reader, and I want you to know that you do not have to answer it. Okay. It's kind of controversial. It was asked several times by several different people, and I've worded it the best way I think I can. So a lot has been made your email to the mayor of Manchester, in which a statement about it has been 6 months since you had seen your daughter. It had been more than 6 months. Is 6 months some kind of threshold you had been told about, or the reasoning behind that 6 months? And you do not have to answer that if you don't want to.
Well, I have answered this in the past, but just not to media. When I had written that letter to the mayor, I was in a state of panic.
Okay.
I figured, from what I had seen, I've always been a true crime, junkie, if you will. I hate that word, but I've always loved true crime. Forensic files, all that stuff. My mom always put me onto it, and I thought, if it was less amount of time, because I was not sure when I reached out to him how long it had really been since anyone had seen her. I hadn't seen her for 2 years, at that point.
Right.
And I figured if I told them 6 months, they would get on it faster, and they wouldn't just say, "Oh, hey, it's been 2 years since she's been missing. Oh, she's dead." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I didn't know, but I figured, hey, if I say she's been missing less time, maybe they'll jump right on it.
Yeah. So yeah. At that point, you still pretty much thought that it was just Adam being a jerk.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought always. I just thought, damn, like Kim really hates me. She's threatened by our relationship. I don't know what she was really threatened by, because once me and him were done, I didn't give him the time of day. But at certain visits, he would say certain things that would like set her off. You know what I mean?
There's familiarity.
Strange.
Yeah, because there's familiarity between you two. You do share a chat, and you did have a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't know that I'd be jealous or anything, but I mean, everybody's different. So this next question is about Tabby Scott. When did you find out about Tabby Scott, and what did you find out about Tabby Scott?
So Adam, because I had been with Adam, a little over 5 years. So I had first heard about her, I would say 6 months into our relationship. His dad was in some treatment thing, and he had popped up out of nowhere, and he was seeing his dad, and I believe he wasn't still like in a relationship with Tabby's mother, but they were like, sexually involved.
Okay.
And I had met Tabby's mother, a few times at the grandmother's house on Hall Street, long before they ever went to Guildford. And then, I really didn't hear nothing about her. Until it was grimy and she was nasty and all this other stuff. And then, come to find out, once Harmony's missing, people are sending me, posts from this girl with my daughter, a picture of my daughter, and my daughter has an egg on her head. Like, right. You're not going to tell me. And then I get, like I said before, I got a screenshotted text message of her having a conversation with a close friend, and the close friend sent it to somebody that I know, saying that she said right out, the last person to see my daughter alive, and that she used to see Adam beating on my daughter. So why would you just sit there and let that happen?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why would you say you're the last person to see her alive and then never report it? It doesn't. It's just, oh my God, it makes me so sick. Yeah, and then now that I'm sorry, Regina. I just want to say it before I forget, but now that she was arrested, and all that stuff, like you were saying, those comments, those vicious comments on YouTube, they're gone.
Well, they've actually been gone for a while. Like some people got screenshots. I've been trying to hunt down the people that got screenshots.
I have them.
You have them. Very good.
Yeah.
Because if we ever have to put Tabby into context, I would like to include those.
I think they got removed because I'm not gonna lie. Like in my daughter's, I reached out to anybody I thought was involved. Somebody mentioned a name. I was looking that person up, having a family member that has like some type of, like white page or something.
Right.
And I was doing the FBI business, and I reached out to Tabby's brother, his brother's wife, and her husband.
Okay.
And I was just going off. Like, I don't know what anybody's intentions are. I know this girl don't have kids. I know she thinks Adam's family, but you don't cover up for somebody that's like that. Just like pretty much the gist of the same message. All listen, there's no way you're gonna sit here and see the news and see everybody hurting over her and not say a thing.
Right.
And not they all read it. They all read it. And the only person that answered me was Tabby's husband.
Yeah. Oh, he did. Joseph.
Yes.
Joseph Haywood answered.
Yes.
He did. And what did he tell you?
Yeah. It was bullshit. I knew it. He said, we're split up. Haven't spoken in months. Bullshit. Yeah. I thought it might have been even her answering.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the one who went and bailed her out.
Yeah. You're not going to tell me we ain't spoken in months. Yeah, I know.
Right.
High five on the lie, though.
Yeah.
Fucking dummy.
So, June 2021, Kayla suddenly decides to take Harmony off her food stamp case, 18 months after Harmony is last seen. What was happening around that time? What was happening with you? What did you know about it? What do you think was going on that prompted Kayla to say, after all that time, ooh, I better take Harmony off my food stamp case?
Say the date again.
June of 2021. So
is there any specific date in June?
No, and I know what you're looking for. No, we do not have a specific date as when she did it, just that she did it in June.
Yeah, so what I always thought when obviously everything came out, the police were updating me with everything, I was thinking that she hit an age where they'd be looking for her in the school system, like I was, looking for her at school, like looking to see if they enrolled her in the school, looking to see if she was in the doctors. Yeah. I feel like if we started to investigate whether they were aware of it or not, she was trying to cover her own tracks and she fucked herself.
Yeah, see, and now I was thinking, and I didn't even think of that, like the school or the doctor thing. I was thinking, when I first read that question, I was like, well, June, maybe Blair and Jonathan reached out.
Mind you, right before she pulled out, I'm so sorry. Right before she pulled out, in the DCYF discovery, it says that the DCYF worker went to their house, and if I remember correctly, it was between October and November. They were in either street or leaving the fit shelter and going into the new place, and the DCF worker, some fill-in chick, Michelle, asked, "Hey, all your other kids are here. Where's Harmony?" And he claimed I had her, and this was good. Hold on, October, good 6 months before she removed Harmony off her thing. I mean, so it's really weird. It doesn't make sense because they told, 6 months before she removed Harmony off her case, they told DCF that she was quote unquote living with me.
Right. And
with no proof of that,
right.
Obviously.
And here what I thought was because it was June, maybe Jonathan and Blair had reached out to her to have her and Jameson share her birthday?
Oh my gosh, I really hate this, but
Don't say it if you'll regret it. Don't say it if you'll regret it. Think.
I don't know. There's just a lot of things that
There's a lot going on there.
aren't what they seem. That's all I'm gonna say. Not everything you see on the internet is the truth.
We know that, and that's why I'm telling you, just be careful. Don't say anything you regret. So have you talked to the EG?
I have, the victim witness advocate.
Yeah.
But I have never physically met Jesse O'Neill or the chief or anybody that I'm probably supposed to meet. I haven't met.
Have you reached out to them?
Oh yeah, of course. I give the victim witness advocate hell every day. I'm emailing the lead detective, doing the best as legal as I can.
Absolutely.
Sending the lead detective pictures, screenshots, any little thing. When I had gotten the information about Easy Days moving company, and I got the picture off of the Easy Days freaking website of Adam. Oh Lord, I sent that right to him, and I'm like, there's no way that this moving company didn't see something suspicious, smell something, because they were supposedly the moving company that moved them from Gilbert Street to, no, not Guilford, Union to wherever. Sorry, I don't know why I said Guilford. From Union to wherever they had moved after.
So there was a moving company that moved them.
Yes, Easy Days Moving Company.
Interesting.
Yes, and I have all the papers for that, but I forgot to send it to you.
And so that's okay. How has the detective been responding to you?
Oh gosh, I'm telling you, when I say I'm humble, but they say thank you for that information, and that's it.
That's it.
Oh, bitch.
Yeah, they're building a case. Okay, final question, Crystal. You've got a birthday coming up too.
Yes, and Harmony's DCYF hearing is the day before.
Are you going to be in Manchester for that hearing?
Huh? I'm sorry.
Are you going to be in Manchester for that hearing?
Oh yes, of course. I love to be at those hearings because I just stare him down and he nervously looks back and does all this extra stuff. I just want them to see me there. And most times, Kayla usually has a hearing as well, right before me. So she either comes out right before I get there, or I did last time, I bumped right into her.
Wow.
Yeah, security had to separate us last time. I don't do anything stupid. I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? But her mom was there, and her mom started to try to get loud in the hallway, and I just looked right over and said, "Listen, I'm not scared of either one of you, but I'm not going to risk my freedom." And the security came over and swooped me over, and I just looked at him like, "Why are you protecting her?" And he said, "I'm not. I'm protecting you and I'm protecting Harmony." He said, "Because if you're in jail, how are you going to fight for her?" And I said, "You're right. Thank you so much." And I gave him a hug. And I went into my hearing,
So when you do come to Manchester, you have to make sure you text me because I have those rocks for you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
One of each style. They're made by a teammate. They're completely 100% hand painted by a teammate.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
They're very effective. We put them out on trails and stuff. So the final question, and then I'm going to let you go and get to your son and your man because you don't do this very often.
I don't mind because people need to know the truth, and we need to keep harmony in people's minds.
We're doing
and hearts.
We're doing our best.
I know.
At your age today, if you were able to talk to your younger self that just had a baby, you're a single mom, you're homeless, you're addicted. If you were somebody that could give that person your self advice, what would you say to them?
I would tell them, I would tell myself that I'm worth so much more. I'm worth love and a better life. I deserve to love myself, my daughter, and there are so many things that I wish if I knew now, I would have done things a lot differently. I mean, I regret meeting Adam. I regret bringing in a relationship with him. But I don't regret Harmony. I regret the mistakes I made because they had devastating consequences. But I would tell myself to wake up and get your ass in treatment because you have someone to live for.
That would be very good advice, Crystal. Very good advice.
Thank you.
I want to thank you again for this interview. I hope as we go through this process, people are getting to know you better, and understanding the story better. I feel like a lot of people have heard the sound bites, but they've never really listened to. There's still a lot of asshats out there, they are. And I can't thank you enough for joining us, and I hope we get to do this again.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about Harmony and putting together the timeline and telling the truth, because a lot of the stuff that like you said, has been put out on the news and that has been talked about is all speculation. People putting the puzzle together by themselves without knowing the truth or exactly what happened. And I have guilt and I feel like shit most days, and I have shame that comes with being in recovery and at one point being in addiction. But I'm trying to change my life, and I got a piece of paper in the mail about 2 weeks ago. It was just to remind me about court, September 13th. But it made me realize that I was finally going to get her back. It said if Harmony was found, that she would go to the hospital and then she would go directly back to me. And that was really hard to read. You know what I mean?
That's meaningful, though. That's very
meaningful. I finally did it. Even though I don't know. I don't know how to say it.
Well, I know this is so hard for you, Crystal. But at the end of the day, if we're able to end all the speculation and all the stuff that brings you pain, because I try to get people to understand that nobody on social media is going to beat you up more than you beat yourself up.
Oh yeah, that's
can't. Yeah, it's not fun. But I want you to know that you're being so strong going through this with me, and people appreciate it. I get good feedback on the website about it. They like to hear your side of the story, and they like to listen to it without it being media sound bites or scrutinized. by people on the internet. So I appreciate it, Crystal. I really do.
Yeah, you know, it's a huge part of my recovery. Being honest, you know, owning my part, having accountability, and trying to make amends. You know.
You're doing very well. I'm going to let you get back to your man. I hope everybody enjoyed these spaces. I will be leaving it pinned to my profile, and I will be putting it on Harmony's website within the next couple of days. Any final words, Crystal?
I just want to thank everybody for coming and listening and keeping harmony in their hearts and in their minds. And I just ask everybody to keep praying and hold on to the support they have for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Good night, everybody.
Good night.